Welcome to the show, everybody. Micah with Coronavirus Diaries. And again, I'm blessed to be able to speak with Mark Suarkeo in Siargao, Philippines. Is that correct, Mark?
That's right.
All right. I was
Yeah.
having a problem with the island name, but yeah. Mark, for the listeners and the viewers that maybe didn't see our last session, you mind giving them a quick heads up of, who are you and what are you doing out in the Philippines?
Yeah, I just got to this island. I moved here, decided to come here from Los Angeles, where I kind of grew up and lived for most of my life. I came out here to the island, um, partly to kind of connect with my Filipino roots. I've been coming here as a tourist um, since 2016. It's a very popular surf destination. I came out here, but fell in love with the community, the people. It's kind of very yoga-like vibe, health, nutrition type vibe, and so developed a bunch of friends who live here, and just over the course of the years, I decided to make the big move and live here, and now I'm here, and came here just before the whole coronavirus situation happened. So I'm not stuck here. I mean, I plan to live here, so I'm happy to be here
That's
as opposed to
outstanding.
LA right now.
You had mentioned surfing in a little bit. We were chatting a bit before we started the session. I was asking you about any breaks or if you'd been out, and you had a fun,
Yeah.
an interesting story to share. Why don't you the
Yeah.
listeners?
So yeah, maybe probably about 3 weeks ago, the local police, basically closed off all the surf spots from all around the island. And so there, in the beginning, there's some people going out, sneaking out early in the morning. We had a curfew from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. But apparently there was a group of guys who paddled out. Actually, they hired a local boat man, to take them out to one of the breaks, and they got caught by the Coast Guard and ended up going to jail for the day, from morning till I think about 11 or 12 p.m.
Uh,
And they were supposed to stay the night, but apparently they were being loud surfers, obnoxious surfers in jail. So the police actually let them go, probably to ease their minds a little bit.
they let them go because they got a little too loud in the jailhouse.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think there was probably about, from the video that kind of surfaced and was going around here on the island, it's probably about a good 10 to 15 or so surfers out there in the jail.
Whoa! So they're taking
Yeah,
that surf life pretty serious, huh?
yeah. I mean, they're taking advantage basically because a lot of the tourists left. They advised most of them to leave, and so the surf breaks were definitely a little quieter, which is good for surfers. Um, less of a crowd, more waves. So
I
they
mean,
were
that's
taking advantage of the situation.
That's some of the when you would introduce me to surfing, the surf etiquette. I remember that was one of the first things you're kind of
Yeah,
like, listen, like it's real. Like you gotta understand what's going on out in the water and what's happening with
yeah,
like the lineup. And
right.
that was something that I can imagine right now when there's so many fewer people out at the
Yeah.
waves. It looks
Mhm.
like freedom, like total freedom, right? You don't have to worry about the lineup
Yeah,
and all that.
yeah. No lineup. There's generally, because it is a tourist destination, there's a lot of beginners also, and so beginners can kind of get in the way. It can cause a little bit problems in
I can
terms of
attest to that.
injury. Yeah, yeah,
What was it?
yeah.
We were
So
at Naiharn. Naiharn had like a really nice break, but it got shallow really fast. So if you rode in too far, if
yeah,
you took a digger too close to shore, you could bounce off the bottom pretty good.
yeah. And that wave can be pretty, like you said, fast and a little bit hollow and a little pitchy. So it can definitely throw you over and jam you into the sand if you're not careful.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so how long has it been since you've been on a board?
So I haven't gone out there since they closed the surf break. So I've been abiding
Yeah.
by the rules. So it's been about three or so weeks since I paddled out.
How are you
But
managing your, because I mean, that's a big part of who you are. How are you managing not being able to have that right now? Is there something else that you're doing to fill your time?
yeah, definitely. So one of the things I got involved with here on Siargao is I joined to be partners with an organic farm called Bayatakan Farm up in the northern part of Siargao in an area called Burgos. And so it's an organic farm that one of the partners founded. Her name is Anna Lane, and she used to be a registered nurse in Manila. And decided to leave that job, leave the city, and start this organic farm, um, basically for her own personal needs. But then my other friend Sam, who's also the co-founder, um, approached Anna Lane, and they started this Bayatakan Farm, and so that's become a place of so before all this happened, we were providing tours, organic farm tours, and showing people the land and how we grow things there,
How
and
big is
how
it
it's 2 rye, which I don't know what the equivalency for
in
that
acres?
in acre. Yeah, but it's pretty good sized land, and she was developing it for about 5 years before it actually became this Bayatakan farm. She
Nice.
turned everything into organic farming. She learned everything on her own. But so yeah, one of the things that I've been doing during this quarantine is, aside from learning more of organic farming, I started starting to create a home community garden for the area that I'm living at. So, and that's something that we're going to be rolling out as an initiative, because one of the main missions of Bayatakan Farm is to promote self-sufficiency of the island and um, food security, so we don't rely on getting goods and produces from other parts of the Philippines, which we currently do right now. Especially right now, uh, Siargao being in complete lockdown. You know, Siargao is a big tourism spot, and so a lot of the people who rely on their income from tourism are really suffering. There's a lot of people and communities who can't even afford food and
Yeah.
the basic necessities. So that's one of the things that we want to encourage, is to start our own home community garden, get other people to start their own, so that they can also create more of the ripple effect and
Yeah.
help others within the community who don't have that luxury that we might have in terms of providing them food and
Being self-sufficient is,
something.
oh, go ahead. Got a little bit of a lag
Uh,
here. We're managing it though pretty
yeah,
good, I think.
yeah, yeah.
The self-sufficiency that you're talking about though is, that's a great way to approach it, doing these community initiatives and gardens, even, pre-COVID. But now that
Yeah.
COVID is kind of like hanging over, have you noticed
Mhm.
kind of a difference in kind of how people are approaching this? Like, well, maybe I do want a garden. Has there been a shift like that?
Actually, yeah, there has been people, yeah, like you said, through this whole COVID, everyone's kind of opened their perspective on, how we may not be able to rely on groceries or even, the system out there that everyone's used to, and that maybe we can go back to the old ways of providing food for ourselves and relying on ourselves other than someone else. So
Yeah.
yeah, there are people within the community who have inquired about seeds from us from Bayatakan Farm, and so that kind of sparked our idea of creating these small farms, and also um, consulting with them in how to start their own home community garden, and including providing the soil and providing the seeds, and just basic follow up on how to grow and keep that garden flourishing.
Out of curiosity, so you talk about an organic garden. Like, what is that? Is it just no pesticides or no certain types of chemicals, or how do you do an organic garden as opposed to, I guess, just a garden that I may have been a part of when I was
Yeah.
growing up?
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I'm still learning along the way. I'm fairly new to this organic farming world, but on the farm, yeah, what Annalyn has done, she has created her own organic soil mix, and she just uses all plants and vegetables basically to create the
Compost.
fertilizer. Yeah, and the compost, and we even use these African night crawlers to create vermi composting. So
Ah,
everything is just so natural. Yeah. So yeah, no pesticides, no fertilizers, nothing like that at all. So it's completely organic, and that's something I'm gonna start here and just see how it goes. Learn each step along the way, and then
you had
I figure
some,
it out. And
your social media, you've shown some of your developments on the small garden that you've been working on. I'm curious,
yeah,
what are you trying to grow in that garden? The smaller one.
yeah. So that one we just kind of fenced off. I had a little help with one of the guys here. He
It's
did a
breaking
wood
up.
fence, but just put some big sticks in the ground and got some bamboo and just wrapped around like a little fence off for that. But yeah, just clearing out the space, getting the soil nice and soft, and there's a little bit of rock formations there, so I had to take some of that old trunks that were in there. But I'm going to get some soil transferred from the farm, and then actually start with the cow dung, which we need to dry up and use that as part of the fertilizer, and then get a mix of rice hull and basically create a mix that's going to be the foundation for where we're going to be planting the fruits and vegetables. But I think definitely some eggplant, which is abundant here, okra, you know,
Do you have,
tomatoes,
do you have,
cucumbers, anything we can get,
do you have bok choy?
peppers.
Is bok choy in a
Yeah,
big one in the Philippines?
yeah, bok choy,
Yeah.
they call it pet chai. Pet chai is
Pad
what it's
chai.
commonly referred to here.
Just had some
Yeah,
of that the other day. It was, love it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, yeah, kale, spinach, I mean, everything, anything we can. And there's a type of water spinach we call kangkon here, which is also popular. And we're growing that here along the different side of the mountains.
So
So
water
yeah,
spin,
that'll be interesting. Yeah, water spinach. It's called kangkon.
is it actually growing like kind of in the water, like wild rice would, or it's just got a name that has
No,
water in it?
yeah, it's just, yeah, to be honest, I don't know where that name came from, but yeah, we have it growing actually in these plastic bottles that one of the residents has actually started here on the
Cool.
side. Yeah,
So, and I don't know if you'd mentioned this at the beginning of this one. For those that aren't aware, Mark is vegan, has been for some time.
yeah,
You've got another initiative with a friend. Was it in Canada?
yeah.
The vegan as fuck?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
partner Donnie, who's kind of the creator of the brand Vegan as Fuck, spelled with FVCK. Um, we're
Totally
starting
politically
e-commerce.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just a simple design that he came up with, and so we're starting an e-commerce site for that. But part of our initiative, our mission is to promote health and wellness, is to share some of the social issues that are associated with industrial agriculture, intensive farming, um, things that are affecting basically, of course, the animals, and also people who are living, in the surrounding rural communities where a lot of these facilities are located. And so that's something that we're hoping to launch for the next couple of weeks. And I'm actually writing a vegan starter guide to kind of share some of
Nice.
those issues and talk about some of the basic nutrition that vegans should be aware of, in terms of the vitamins and minerals,
Well,
and
speaking
just
of,
basically showing how.
go ahead. Go
Sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. I was just basically sharing, how anyone can transition if they're interested in living a vegan lifestyle, because it's not just about what you eat, it's about things you wear, and things you do in terms of like not supporting places that exploit animals and things like that. So
You know, out of curiosity, I know we're getting we're hitting around that time mark that we talked about, but
Okay.
um, before we started the session, I'd mentioned, you're looking pretty jacked for being out there, and it
Thanks.
had me think, like, as a vegan, most vegans that I know, I don't know a whole lot that are jacked, like shredded or like really fit, and I have always
Mm,
associated that with like something to do with protein. Um,
yeah.
is that a common misconception that vegans don't get enough protein, or where is your
Yeah.
protein coming from?
Yeah, absolutely. That is a big misconception, and that's actually probably the most common and first question that everyone will ask me is, where do you get your protein from? And that's something I include in the vegan starter guide. And there's a misconception that you need to get protein from animals, and some people don't even realize that you can actually get protein from plants. Every single plant um, has protein, just not as much as animal
Sure.
protein. But basically, yeah, I mean, beans, legumes, grains, like I said, plants, fruits, and vegetables, they all have a certain level of protein, tofu, tempeh, which are good alternatives to meat. Things like broccoli has a decent amount of protein. So I think a lot of it is becoming more educated in these kind of things and being more aware um, that you don't need to eat meat, if you choose not to get
Mhm.
sufficient protein. And I think also, yeah, there's a misconception that we need a high amount of protein, but based on some of the research out there, it's high amount of protein is actually can be linked to certain kind of cancer. So, which we've all seen is on the rise as well. And animal-based um, foods is linked to one of our leading causes. Most of our leading causes actually chronic diseases, including heart disease and diabetes and
Really? I
stroke.
didn't actually know that.
So yeah, so that's all some of the things that I include in the ebook starter guide, and
Nice.
I want to share because I think it's coming from background in healthcare, treating patients who suffered from chronic disease like diabetes. My mom being one diabetic, and my dad had heart disease. That's one of the inspirations that led me to learn about plant-based nutrition and use this information and education to kind of share that with other people, because I feel like not a lot of people see that or understand that certain kind of diet, plant-based, whole foods, plant-based diet can actually not only prevent disease, but actually reverse it based on some studies done by some credible doctors. So that's something that I'm working on just as my personal mission as well.
Nice. Well, with the COVID lockdowns, maybe that'll get out to the public a little faster, being as you've got maybe a little more
Yeah,
time to to
yeah,
think it out.
definitely. That's actually this whole lockdown thing. Yeah, it's like the past 2.5 or so weeks. That's really all I've been working on, just focusing on that. And now that we're extending to another probably 14 days, I feel like hopefully I can get this done, throughout this whole quarantine. That'll be my one main project that I get out of this. And but I think it's a timely project because people are becoming more aware of how this COVID started by eating animals. People are becoming more intrigued by the world of veganism, and seeing that animals are the cause of a lot of these viruses and flus, including the swine flu and the
SARS
Spanish
and
flu.
H1N1. Yeah.
Yeah, so exactly. So all those viruses are caused by animals, and
I mean,
so a lot of these.
I thought I'd heard the scientific community had been suggesting that it had something to do with um, the density of how tightly packed animals were, and they were like in cages on top of cages, and which in
Yeah,
turn they were living in their own filth, and then that propagated, like this
yeah,
chimera type of thing.
yeah. So that's kind of relates to what these factory farms are. If you've seen any of those videos,
I used to
these
work on a
concentrated.
turkey farm.
Oh, really?
It was
Okay.
it was crazy. It was a crazy
Wow.
place to work when you're 18, 19 years old, and there's thousands and
Yeah.
thousands of turkeys in these barns, man. It
Yeah.
was a whole
Wow.
other world.
Yeah. So you've seen it firsthand, these concentrated animal
Yeah.
um, feeding operations, or CAFOs they call it. They're basically breeding grounds for viruses, infections, all the things they pump into pesticides, antibiotics, and these workers, like you experience, are susceptible to these kind of things that they can bring out to the public, and that's kind of really what happened in from these viruses, and so that's something that everyone should kind of be more aware of the possibilities of that happening.
Well, I'm looking forward to you getting at it. I was actually just talking to my mom about putting some gardens together because she's out.
Nice.
She's not in the city. She's outside of the city, like quite a ways out. She's wanting to build some floating gardens of sorts. Something about like getting
Cool.
stuff off the ground. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what you've got and maybe try to apply some of your
Yeah, well,
teachings
I'll definitely
to
be sharing that.
outstanding.
Yeah,
Well,
and that's cool. I think we can all learn along the way because, like I said, I'm new at this too, so it'll be fun if we all can join in and learn from each other.
what's your favorite thing to grow? If you had to pick one thing that you're
Man,
like you appreciate it the most when you get to eat it.
yeah. Um, I think any of the leafy greens, because I think it's one of the best foods you can eat. So kale, spinach, probably a couple of my favorites. Eggplant is good.
I just
Stuff
had
I can
some,
use to make.
yeah, the delay's a little bit
Yeah.
out there. The kale chips. I had some kale chips for the first time
Oh,
not too long ago. I'm
nice.
like, dude, this is so rad. Like, who would have thought they could be
Yeah.
it could taste so good? But I've always been like,
Yeah.
I've always, we were talking before the session about how much chicken I ate in
Yeah.
Phuket, like, because it's everywhere you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Mark, I really
Yeah.
appreciate you jumping on again. It's good to hear that you're doing well out there, all things
Thanks,
considered.
man.
And
Thank
looking
you.
forward to connecting with you again before too long. For any of the viewers and listeners, all the information that was talked about in this episode or this session can be seen in the About section below. And if you want, feel free to reach out to Mark, get more information on that vegan life and all the other stuff that he's associated with. I'm sure he's got a plethora of information for you guys. So. Mark, did you have anything that you want to share before we jump off that we didn't touch on?
Yeah, just everyone, just be safe, be careful, get your nutrients, get your vitamins, your minerals, your phytonutrients, your antioxidants. That's going to help everyone get through this, and you know, take care of your mental, emotional, spiritual health as well.
Sound advice. I appreciate it,
Yeah,
Mark. Thank you for your time as
yeah.
always. And
Thank you,
for all the
Micah.
viewers and listeners, stick around. There'll be more sessions coming at you. So enjoy.